What's up, guys? Super excited to bring you my top 5 most underrated cards of the set. This was the hardest list for me to whittle down. There were so many cards I thought that were underrated. I had something like 17 underrated cards that I had to whittle down to just 5. So I'm really excited to bring this to you guys and to tell you about some of the cards that I think are going to be seeing a lot more play than people are expecting. We're going to kick things off with number 5, Geosculptor Yip. I think people are misevaluating this card as Rotface 2.0. I think it has a much higher ceiling than Rotface does, and probably a safer floor as well. The worst case scenario is you play this guy on turn 8, you armor up, and you're getting a 2-drop. But then you still have a 4/8 that's lingering around that's going to be causing a lot of problems and making more minions as the game goes forward, because 4/8s aren't very easy to kill. The more realistic thing I think that's going to happen is people are going to play this with a reasonable amount of armor. There are a lot of Armor Matters cards in this set, and then get something like a 6-drop or a 7-drop, which is already pretty great tempo. Obviously, this card is insane with Bring It On, and I think it's going to see a lot more play than people are expecting, because it's going to be a lot easier to go into turn 7 or 8, 9 with a high amount of armor, I think, than people are expecting. Number 4, we have Dire Mole. This card's pretty unassuming. It's a 1-mana 1/3, but what makes it, I think, so good is its minion type. It's a beast. Hunter has really been want for more meaningful 1-mana plays. They've really only had Aleco as a strong 1-mana play, but Aleco gets interacted with pretty easily by a lot of hero powers. The thing that I love about Dire Mole is that it's going to be very hard to kill on turn 1, and then you just get to slap a Crackling Razor Maw trigger on this on turn 2. I think this is going to cause a lot of headaches going forward, particularly if you get like the +3 attack or poison upgrade on it early, and this is going to be a mainstay in kind of aggressive and mid-range Hunter builds. Number 3, we have Kobold Hermit. This is one that the community really wasn't that excited about when it was spoiled. A lot of the reviews I was kind of reading of this card were that it was pretty ho-hum, but what I see here is a card that creates 2 bodies off of 1 card. That's something that most Shaman decks, particularly token Shaman decks, should be immediately interested in. There are so many Shaman cards that are great with multiple bodies, like, Flame Tongue Totem, Bloodlust, etc. That I think this card will see play in definitely token and more aggressive Shaman decks, just on the basis of the fact that it creates 2 bodies. However, the fact that you get to discover a totem in tandem with this opens up a lot of combos. This is going to be excellent with Maelstrom Portal for getting the spell power. I think this is going to be really good if you're able to find like a surprise healing totem or a surprise taunt totem out of nowhere. You'll be able to set up a lot of favorable trades, protect important minions. I think the flexibility of this card is being really undersold, and I expect it to crop up in a lot of different Shaman decks. At number 2, we have Potion of Heroism. So the reason I think this card is super, super strong is because first of all, you're automatically replacing a card with it. But if it ever enables you to keep a minion on board that would have otherwise died, like i.e. you have a 3/3, your opponent has a 3/3, you slap Potion of Heroism on your 3/3 and trade yours into theirs and keep your 3/3 on board, that's just a 2-for-1 for 2 mana. All it's really asking you to do is have meaningful minions on board, and Paladin decks generally played the board pretty early, especially the mid-range Paladin builds that have been popular for a while. So I think we're going to see this in a lot of mid-range and maybe more aggressive Paladin decks as a way to just churn through their deck, get some value trades, and it's not very sexy, but it's definitely going to be impactful. Number 1, we have Oaken Summons. I think people are not very high on the recruit mechanic coming into this set. People are kind of assuming that it's adding more randomization to the game, that it's just going to create a bunch of more pseudo Big Priest decks, and we're going to enter an era of RNG. I don't see it that way. I love the design on Oaken Summons. What I think this card is going to do is ask Druids to build their deck in a certain way such that they're getting maximum value off of Oaken Summons. They're going to be cutting all these kind of ho-hum 2-drops that they might have been running, and they're going to be playing only high-impact 3-drops and 4-drops. So this is going to come with a drawback, obviously. Druid's not going to have as many ways to interact with the board early, but what it's going to do is counterintuitively increase the amount of consistency in these decks. They're going to more reliably be able to pull out their Fandral, or something like a Spirit Singer Umbra in a dedicated Death Rattle deck, or Taunt Minions in a Taunt deck. it's really going to allow you to craft your deck in a way such that you'll be able to more consistently play cards that are very important to your strategy. And what I really hope to see is a variety of Druid decks emerging from Oaken Summons that are a little more mid-rangey, have a more consistent game plan, and maybe aren't necessarily trying to just go over the top with cards like Ultimate Infestation. And that's it. Those are my top 5 most underrated cards. Stay tuned for my Dust Factories.